Alright everyone, in this episode we're gonna have a new interview with the one and only b-boy Stuntman, so check it out. Peace.
Okay, I'm reloaded.
My name is Stuntman. Some people also know me as Ricky Rocany. From Pasadena, California. I represent Freestyle's crew, Style Miss Monster Squad. Originality stands alone. 25 years in breaking, but I've been a part of hip hop even before I knew what hip hop was. 1988. I think it's simple, and you want to have a mixture of both. I don't believe, and people are going to disagree, I don't believe in anyone ever doing 100% freestyle. If you were doing 100% freestyle, that means you've never touched the floor in your life and you've never had any particular movement in any way, shape, or form. So you're regurgitating something that your body has already done, the majority of it. There'll be some sporadic things within your go down that maybe you've never seen or touched before. Primarily, the people that pay attention to music will fall into these things or out of them in a graceful way. They finesse them. But I don't believe that 100% freestyle exists, so you should have a balance of both. And freestyle isn't necessarily a movement you haven't done all the time. It could be a movement that shouldn't have been in your set to begin with, but something happens in the moment that makes you kind of change what you would have normally have done. And that has to do, at least for me, a lot with the shoes you're wearing, the song that's on, your opponent if it's in a battle, the floor, sometimes even your mood can shift the way something that you always do. It's the way it looks and feels. So I think you want to have a good balance. Have an idea of what you might want to throw when you're throwing your rounds, but don't fall into the robot approach of it's going to be from the moment you step out to the moment you walk out like that. That's just too choreographed for me. So you want to have that improvisation and those moments to be able to play within your sets. I always compare it to like food. So the meat would be the actual set, and then what you do around it is totally going to be on those key moments, depending on everything. Everything is going to have some kind of impact on the way your set should look. I can do a set today and do it tomorrow, and even if it's a set and you know kind of where the things are going to go, they're not going to look the same for thousands of reasons. A strength could be a lot of different things, from the way you do things and what you do. For me, experimenting a lot and failing and falling and messing up, it made me realize where I wasn't strong, so then I would go the other direction and try to see what some of my strengths were. Now, as far as character goes, it has to do with your influences and embracing what is impacting you at that moment. I'm not going to have the same influences in LA in the 90s as someone did in New York in the 70s. So embracing where you come from, I think, really builds your character, because that's part of who you are regardless. Everyone we see walk on the street, something molded them into the character they have became, but we dance, so we show it obviously when we're in the dance floor more than anything, but a lot of us that are like genuine characters act the same way in the circle as we do when we're out with our friends or hanging out in a classroom, or I'm playing with my granddaughter or what have you. So a lot of that was just what was molding me when I was younger and let me feel comfortable in shining in those aspects. And it always has to do with your environment. If you're not absorbing what's immediately around you and you're looking outside of that, you're kind of already looking past what's already, the magic that's in front of you. So I think embracing that and letting it mold you versus you trying to find the character, let that character in your environment find you. It's funny, one of my friends, Urban, was the first one I heard say that. It's like, your dance should be, a product of your environment. Your body, your dance should be an extension of who you are. So your environment could be anything from your home, your school, the street, the neighborhoods you walk in, things that you watch. Like for me, in the 80s, even before I was dancing, I love watching cartoons. Transformers was like my favorite. So through the 90s, I became a collector, and I would go back and watch old cartoons. So even though they weren't a part of my immediate environment, because they were reruns, going back to my childhood and what my environment was growing up inspired me to move a certain way according to what I was watching, and in this case, Transformers. So that's just one example of like your immediate environment. I think anyone that says they don't care about it is lying to themselves. It's how much you care and how much you let it dictate who you might become. If you care a lot, sometimes what people say and then the critics are going to mold the way you move because you're trying to appease all these people. If you say you don't care at all, you're still going to care enough to know that you're still following who you are with a little bit of guidance from those critics. And those critics don't know that to be negative. I've had both. I've had people tell me that I was doing it wrong, I'm not a road breaker, I'm a toy, I'm not a b-boy. And I've had people just tell me like, oh, if you just change this one little thing, it'll look fresh. I think for me, the constructive criticism has always helped me develop what I do today. And the majority of that was people that were similar to me. So we're like-minded and we would train together and share these ideas. And then from there, you know, you have a different pair of eyes that think kind of like you, that can tell you, bro, that's fresh, or like, don't do this, or like, try to do this. So there's a lot happening before the public even sees a certain move or a set or a combination of a movement, because you've already been doing it sometimes hundreds of times in the lab before you put it out into the public. And those people, if you happen to practice with people like that, they're still your critics, but they're giving you that constructive criticism that's actually building you into a stronger, you know, your material becomes stronger. Well, I'll go back a little bit before there was after parties, because I was going to dance at just parties, so there was no such thing as a jam after party. You would have an after party that was just later than the regular party. So the importance of even those parties, it felt like they gave you more to do than just cypher, than just dance in a circle the whole night. You had moments of socializing. Maybe you catch somebody in the corner that has been dancing a little tired, but then you share a conversation with them. Obviously there was a lot more girls at these earlier parties, so you had that balance and that energy of males and females under one roof, all dancing, and not having to worry about, I'm going to show off in the cypher all night. We had the capability, sometimes we would be dancing for hours, but for the most part, some of these parties, we just went there to rep and pick up on girls. So it's hard to be at a jam nowadays, especially when you're older and a lot of people might be younger. If you still have that mentality of like, I'm gonna go to this jam and pick up on girls, like, that's not gonna work. Even though a lot of us will say that we started because we want to impress girls, or that's one of the reasons. At these jams, you don't get to, because they're so competitive driven, that you don't get to share what you would have shared otherwise at these parties when I was growing up. So the importance of after parties now is that it does give you that platform and that time to not worry about taking score, pointing at a loser and a winner, ciphering with your game face on, looking for someone that you're going to step to. Even though that does happen at the after parties, for the most part, the importance of me at the parties, it gives you the moment to get to know people besides their dance, outside of their dance. Even though you're probably still talking about breaking, but you're communicating verbally versus just, you know, sharing the dance. So after parties for me are crucial to the socializing aspect of this culture and to get to know people on a more personal level. Like whether you've never met them before or you haven't seen them in a while. Like sometimes you'll be at a jam all day and there's someone that you haven't seen in a few months that you want to chill with, but because everything's happening at the jam, you don't get that opportunity. And at the after party, that's when you get to like chill and vibe out and not stress so much on this, you know, the winning aspect of it. I understand some of these bigger events and the rights and the trademarks and them trying to get this music, and I'm not gonna bash on any of these DJs that are producing some dope music, but it's missing something. It's like the songs that they're making might be dope, but they're like missing, they don't have soul behind them. There's no emotion. They're dope and I can move to them, there's no emotion next to them. And some of the songs that we grew up listening to, whether you're from the 70s, 80s, or 90s, those songs do something to you. Those songs take you to a place. Those songs bring you to a place. Those songs have the power to let you forget everything at the moment, or have the power to help you remember something really strong about that song. And it helps you create new moments. So even when people were creating this music, it felt, at least, especially listening to them, like there was an emotion and soulfulness being made with these songs. Now the ones that they're playing at these jams, because they have to worry about all these rights, they just feel like there's no soul. And a lot of them are playing really, really fast-ass music that doesn't need to be fast. They speed it up so fast for I don't know who. I think some of these people think that speed equals energy and hype. It's like, no man, you could put a really nice slow song and you're gonna get energy and you're gonna get hype just as much. And I think some of the people that pay attention to music are trying to keep up with this music so fast that they're ignoring a lot of the details that they would have done otherwise, and you're doing a disservice to the people watching. So for me, it has to do with generic beats that people are making and the speed that they're playing them. Like, go back to some nice, some nice tempos that we can get loose to, and not have to worry like we're in a race, and take us through an emotional journey and let us show people that roller coaster as well. And that's missing because all the beats are so damn fast and generic. It just feels soulless to be dancing to some of these songs. What's up, y'all? Tuning in, YouTube channel, Break to Teach. Check it out, peep it out. A lot of good information coming out, man.